Thor Odinson. He was no ordinary man. He was a god. After saving planet Earth for the 500th time, Thor set off on a new journey. Well, he got in shape. He went from dad bod to god bod. And after all that, he reclaimed his title as the one and only Thor. Oh, spoke too soon.
I wondered, when it came to doing Love and Thunder, because you'd already had the experience on Ragnarok, was there anything in particular you took from that experience that you decided to do differently this time round, or new work, so you did it again?
Really, nothing to do with the main creative stuff. You know, there was a new way of trying to work the schedule and stuff due to using the volume, that sort of like big room of TV screens, which was the first time we'd done that on a Marvel film, and I'd worked with that on The Mandalorian, which I really enjoyed using it. And yeah, we had a good experience with it on this one as well, but that was sort of the main difference. The big difference creatively and in terms of the story was just wanting to push Thor in a direction that felt more emotional, where he was challenged by more human issues and things that would make him more relatable. He was great in Ragnarok, and it was really fun, and it was like a reinvention of the character, but I felt like we could just go further with like just finding out more about who he is. You know, not just like, I don't want to be king. It's like more like, who am I? What's my purpose? Will I ever fall in love? Will anyone ever love me? And just what's my place in the world?
I was looking back at interviews you did around the time of Ragnarok, and even then you were talking about potentially the female Thor, not that it was Jane Foster at that time, but potentially doing a female Thor. Did you always feel there was more story that you wanted particularly to tell with Thor?
Well, not with Ragnarok, but when we were doing Ragnarok, like The Mighty Thor was a big series of books that we really loved reading. Me and Brad Winderbaum, particularly, who was the executive producer on the film, and I just took such great inspiration from that. Just like, it was such a cool story and a character that that was faced with a dilemma that's really interesting and exciting to debate, which is like, if you had the chance to be a god for a day or two, would you trade the rest of your life for that? And it's a cool, it's one of those cool dilemmas. It's like, I'm still not sure. And and then you've got a very sympathetic villain in Gore. That was another comic run that we were reading at the same time. So like, even when we were doing Ragnarok, we were looking at these other things, and even then I was like, man, it would have been such a cool villain to have in this film as well. And so when they said make another Thor film, we very quickly jumped into those books.
I know the film itself is quite self-contained within the MCU canon, but you do have that crossover with Guardians of the Galaxy. So did you have to know what was going to come up in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, or did they let you have free reign?
No, I still have no idea what that film's about. I don't know. Yeah. I've never read a script. I've never talked to James about their film. All I did was like, I wrote what I thought this character sounded like, sent those pages to James, and he was like, well, Star-Lord wouldn't say that, or like Raki, whatever his name is, wouldn't say this, and the same thing with Thor. Like on Infinity War and Endgame, I came in to kind of help with the way that Thor speaks and the way that with the script writing on that, and I just this is how Thor would kind of come into the scene. This is how Thor would comment on that. And it's really cool that we, as directors and writers within the MCU, get to share that information and help each other out. But apart from that, I didn't really care to know anything about any of the other films. It's so stressful just concentrating on one film. Like when you hear about other films and what's happening, you're like, oh my God, I wish I was making that film. Or you're like, oh my God, I wish I didn't know that, because it's like, now I can't put this thing in my film. So my job is to do whatever I can to put as much of myself into the film, and then rely on Marvel and Kevin especially to say, you got to not do that, because 4 years from now I've got a movie coming out that that I need that character, so you can't kill them.